Hello, ladies and gentlemen, theys and gays. This is Crossover Event. Yay!
Hey! Live from Gilead.
I am Danni Danger with Screen Fanatic.
I'm Martin Thomas, who you'll see on Double Toasted, and...
I'm Chris Cox from oneofus.net.
Yeah, and today we are talking about our favorite hidden gem comic books, because I think that we all universally kind of feel a little sad, and we kind of want to just curl up with some books by a nice window seat.
Comfort food.
Yeah.
Comfort food.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, comfort food. So I think that's what we were feeling today, and I'm going to ask Martin to kick it off. Martin came in here, Martin understood the assignment. He did the homework. He brought physical books.
Oh, see, I feel like I didn't understand the assignment. Because I thought, I'll bring some recent things I've been reading. Whereas you guys brought things from the past, like actual hidden gems. My gems, I feel like they're just out there, but maybe nobody's talking about
To
it.
be fair, I'm less familiar with new stuff than I am with older stuff. So for me, these are probably the real hidden gems. So
Fair enough.
I think it's good to get a smattering all across. I think it's also really good to acknowledge that we are not being graded on this assignment.
Okay, all right, good.
We
good.
can do whatever the hell we
I just
want.
feel like so much of life is constantly being graded.
Yeah.
That's what the internet has brought us.
Yeah.
It's brought us all the information in the world, and it's being graded and critiqued on every
Yes.
single thing you do.
Everything is on fire. Just come in here and talk about the comics that you love.
I give this 8 adorable cats out of 10
Oh.
because it's the internet.
Okay. I'm going to pop up a book. And it is by Image Comics, not the big two. Probably if there was a big three, Image would be that. But it's a book called Stillwater. It's written by Chip Zdarsky, who is one of the... There are only a few writers out there right now who, when you see their name on a book, you're like, okay, I can buy this. I can trust this.
Ever since Sex Criminals have been like...
Ever since Sex
good
Criminals. But
Yes.
the thing is, with a lot of comic book writers, to make a living, they have to write several comics.
Mhm.
Now, they might start out with one that's their baby, and then they'll branch into 2 or 3 that are their baby. And then they got to make money, so they start writing several books, and it dilutes the talent.
Mhm.
And you just get to a point where it's like, all right, they got one book that's great and several that are mediocre.
Yeah, there's only a handful of those guys who have a book that they launch with that's so big that they're actually making money off merch.
Mhm.
They're doing,
Yeah.
like Brian K. Vaughan, who's
Yes.
It's going to be
who
like,
can do
wouldn't it
one
be
book
nice
he
if
wants.
artists got paid enough that they could only work on the some things
Sure.
and not all the things?
Sure, everybody
Like-
can't be Brian K. Vaughan or Eric Brubaker.
Yeah, or even John, what's his name, Lehman, who did Chew, who was just sat on that for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're in no way are we encouraging all comic book creators to be prolific, because prolific is fucking tiring.
It
We
is.
are all very
And
tired.
If you work for the big two, they're going to make you tired. They're going to
Yeah.
work you. And Zdarsky, who worked outside of that for a long time,
For a long time.
Mhm.
ended up working for it, doing some of the best books that Marvel had
Yeah.
coming out. But now it seems like he's fuck that, I'm going to Image.
Well, that's the thing. Zdarsky's writing stuff for DC
Oh, he's all over the place.
And
yeah,
Marvel.
he's doing all the things.
and his own creator-owned books, and one of them is this book Stillwater. Can I hold it? Is it seeing that? This book starts out with 2 friends. One is kind of an alcoholic and likes to get in fights, but they go on a road trip because he's got a letter from his mom and at their hometown, and he's like, I haven't visited her in forever, and I'm just gonna go. And they get there, and it's sleepy, Mayberry kind of town, and they see a kid up on a building who's teetering on the edge, just drops off. And they're like, ah! And then the kid, hits the ground, splatters, breaks his arm, and then gets up, smiles, and runs away. And you're like, what the hell is going on here? Well, it turns out this town, Stillwater, part of the name is that nobody dies in this town.
Ah.
If you're injured, your injuries heal. So nobody leaves the town.
This town runs deep.
Yes, but they also now that you're here and you know our secret, you can't leave either.
Yeah, that makes
Cool,
sense.
cool.
They kill his best friend right off the bat.
Oh, good lord. So
Oh,
they're not
shit.
nice people.
They're not nice people, and the only reason they let him live is because his mom is there.
Ah.
But even with that, there's times when she is acted out, and if you act out in this town, they bury you. Or you go too far, they take you outside the city limits and kill you.
Oh, good lord.
So it's been a whole thing for him, just trying to escape.
So it's not superpowers per se, it's just in total invulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it has been going on, and it's very intriguing, and there's that knot in your stomach every time you read this book.
It sounds so much more dark than I usually think of Zdarsky. That he'll do dark stuff, but he's known for his humor above and beyond.
Sure,
being so funny.
He's very versatile
Mm-hmm.
with all the different things he can do. But this one, and the thing is, it is one of those books where you go like, man, I could see this as a movie or a TV show. Well, it's in development. But I would say read the comic before they start doing a TV show, because who knows if they'll get it right.
Yeah. Plus, you don't want to like start watching the TV show and go, "Oh, they didn't do a good job," and then never get around to the comic because you didn't like the TV show. Because that's happened to me before. I waited, watched the TV, went.
I know.
And people go, "No, but the comic's so good."
It happens. It happens. I'd also pop up Strange. You see that?
Oh, I see what you did there.
You
It's
see
just
that?
strange.
You see that?
Is there a
You see
different
that?
Doctor
I
Strange?
actually gave that a read recently because I was doing a Clea themed reading list.
Wait, Clea is Doctor Strange now?
Yes.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
this is how long since I
They
read
spent
Marvel.
about a year on the death of Doctor Strange.
Wait, he's dead?
Yes.
I didn't even know this.
Well,
Wow.
you know,
I
it's
mean,
comics, so
As
Yeah.
dead as
so
somebody.
so
Yeah.
anytime death or
Wait
dead
a
is in
minute, the
comics,
original Captain Marvel still hasn't come back to life.
right? Has he not?
Actually, he came back to life for he had a thing where he was back for one day. He got to come back, but he's not. He's still dead.
Yeah, somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Somebody will bring him back.
Cancer is the only thing that can kill Superman. So apparently,
But yes, Stephen Strange in the comics is dead. Right as his movies are coming out, he has died. They even brought back a Doctor Strange from a different from the past, from a different multiverse.
He gets to be a detective.
Yeah, I know. Get to be a detective to figure out who killed me? Oh wow, that's interesting.
It would be really great if they did that on the big screen, because it would be Sherlock playing Doctor Strange, being a detective.
See,
Hey!
you need to have Kevin Feige's ear,
Yeah.
Right?
because that is just
I've
so
been
obvious
saying
of a
that
thing.
Genius.
forever.
That's a TV. That's the next TV series right there. Is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
You know.
So for all of you who watch Doctor Strange and the was it the Mouth of Madness?
No, that's John Carpenter.
I
It's
feel
the
like these things-
multiverse.
The Mouth
multiverse
of
of madness.
Madness.
And you got to the second
Ooh.
stinger and you went, wait, Charlize Theron,
that?
who is she?
Why is she in this?
She's Doctor Strange's wife, Clea. And in the comics, they've been divorced and separated for forever.
Yeah.
I want to say a decade at
I'd
least.
say even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with his death, she has come back to go hey, who killed my husband or my ex-husband, who I still kind of loved?
Only I get to kill Doctor Strange.
Yeah. And she's like, all right, well, I guess I will take over as the Sorcerer Supreme. Or Sorceress Supreme.
I didn't know you could inherit
I thought that he his part of his whole ghosty thing was here.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
when he died. Yeah, something like that. He
Yeah.
was like, you, girl.
Yeah.
You ex-girlfriend.
And her whole thing is well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be savage. Because he's been kind of hey, live and let live. And she's like, that's bullshit. There's a lot of bad actors out here. So I'm going to start taking care of things.
She's more like Butcher from The Boys.
Not quite that. No,
I'd love to see Charlize Theron with a hardcore British accent. And they're like, oh, fuck you, wankers. Right up your asses.
Clea is the daughter of Dormammu.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so she grows up in the Dark Dimension and she becomes the queen of the Dark Dimension before this.
Mhm.
Not that I just wrote a whole thing on this or anything.
No.
But she's definitely from the Dark Dimension. She's probably used to having to do things
Mhm.
darker, harder,
Mhm.
meaner.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's an excellent choice.
So do you think they're going to go with a sort of taming the beast storyline type thing where you can't do that on this
just
point.
really, even on her first outing, she's like, I'm not going to be passive about this. I'm going to take care of this. And there's been some fallout already. So
Maybe.
there's there's going to be some learning for her to go all right, maybe you can't solve everything with a hammer.
Don't be passive aggressive. Be aggressive aggressive.
There you go.
Thor would disagree.
So who's
I thought I had turned
Okay.
my phone off, and apparently I turned
I was
it
like, she was
on.
You've done
I was
the
like, who turned their
absolute
phone off?
opposite
I did
of turning your phone off. I feel like you turned it up louder.
I know. I'm sorry. I need to switch it out for the X-Men animated series theme song like I used to have. So at least when we get interrupted, it's
That's the thing. If you have that, I never thought about it, but if that was the ringer, nobody would be upset about it.
Nobody.
You'd be in the middle of a movie, and they'd be about to announce the killer, and that song would come on.
Everyone's like,
Everybody
love
would
that.
stop
Yeah.
and just like rock out together.
The downside of having a theme that you love as your like announcement thing on your phone is that within a few months you're like, I don't like this anymore.
That does happen.
But if you set it on your ringtone and you are an elder millennial like me, no one except the boomers in your life ever actually call you on the phone. So you really only hear it about once or twice a week.
That's fair. That's fair. It's like, yeah, but even more so because you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to grandma right now.
I used to have the Batman animated series, and the problem was that I would keep letting things go to voicemail because, like, at what point in that opening theme song are you like, okay, I've heard enough. I can answer this now.
The nerve of people to call you on your phone.
Well,
but no.
What do you think this is? I'm talking?
this person's
it's funny because HBO shows have the best theme songs, and when you're watching them, it's always like, would you like to skip? It's like, hell no.
No.
Like Peacemaker. It was always like, would you like to skip the intro?
Hell
It's
no.
like, why would you even ask
This
that?
is actually a test
Yeah.
to make sure that you are a cool enough person to continue watching the show. Nobody wants to turn that up. Yes, I want to taste it. Fuck off, HBO.
Oh, real quick. Another Chip Zdarsky book that just finished, Devil's Reign. It was the culmination because he's been writing Daredevil. And Daredevil, who should have been like a B-list character, has some of the best story arcs and the best writers come on.
And we've talked about before, like, I don't think any character has had as long a continuous run across several writers as Daredevil.
Right. Like the most amazing. And there's always like you have a fantastic writer, and then somebody comes in who's like, they're not so good. But then they're followed by somebody who's as amazing as the person before that.
Daredevil had like 4 in a row fantastic runs with great writers, then Andy Diggle. And then it got good again.
No, Andy Diggle. And then Mark Waid.
Yeah, Mark Waid, yeah.
And then Charles Soule.
Oh.
And then Chip Zdarsky.
Yeah, so.
And Zdarsky has been doing a great job. Now, he hasn't ended his run, but it kind of came all together with Devil's Reign, where the Kingpin becomes mayor. And I know this had to be like a Trump becomes president kind of thing.
Didn't that already happen?
That's the thing. As much as I've been bragging on Chip Zdarsky, this one was a little bit baffling. Like, his run on Daredevil has been great. Yeah. Because it started with Daredevil accidentally killing somebody.
Okay.
And then going...
That also has already happened as well.
Well, this is one where he went, I need to go to jail.
Oh, okay.
And everybody convincing him like, look, you just made a mistake. But he had this one cop who was like, nope, dude, you got to go to jail. And even that cop kind of went over and went like, you actually do more good out here. Maybe not. But he's like, nope, Catholic guilt must go to prison. The only reason he got out was because he's like, wow, this prison's corrupt and I need to expose this. But this all culminated in the Kingpin going, wait, I used to know Daredevil's identity. Why don't I know that anymore?
Why doesn't he know that anymore?
Well, because the children of Kilgrave, the Purple Man, made everyone forget.
I have missed a lot.
You've missed a lot. You missed a lot.
Yeah.
And Kingpin just is like, no, this is bullshit. Something's up. And he comes down to what it is. And he, being mayor of New York, enacts a law that makes being a vigilante illegal.
That also has already happened.
Well, see, that was the thing, because I was like, this would be brilliant if they hadn't done this already in one of the Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a whole thing that goes on. Fortunately, it's only a 6-issue thing. And it ends where the Thunderbolts are back. I don't know. It
Not surprised they're bringing it back because they just announced a movie.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. That's what it is. But I just brought it because it's kind of baffling. In as much as everything else in Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run is fantastic. And I'm not sure why he went this way unless it was just an edict from the top that said, this is what we want to do.
Could be. That's the way Marvel works.
Yeah, it does. But Devil's Reign is over, so if you want to read Daredevil, it's good time to get back in it. All right, I'll give the floor to somebody else. I've talked enough.
Chris?
Oh, okay. So I did understand the assignment. And
see, you see that joke I was talking about?
I don't even understand where I am right now.
And it was like, I'm looking through my shelf. I'm like, what are the books that I never get to talk about anymore that I think are just absolutely tremendous and fantastic? And partially because there's 2 of mine that are directly related to this guy sitting next to me. This one right here, read Fleming's World's Toughest Milkman. Okay,
Reed
by
Fleming is the main character.
David Boswell. This started in 1978. It was so popular in underground comics that in 1980 it got optioned by a major studio to make a movie out of it. The whole script is written. By the way, if anybody has a copy of that script somewhere, I would love to get a copy.
I think they were looking at Jim Belushi to play the
Yeah,
role.
it never happened.
Right.
But it's like if you ever read Zap Comics or what's something else like they're comparable, the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers or anything like that. This is like along those lines, but it's not really following the whole "this is for stoners." Yeah. It's a very different animal, and the reason I bring him up is because he's also old. No, the reason I bring it up is because he gave me this giant Volume 1 from IDW reprint of it. I had a lot of the separate ones, but not everything, and they were pretty ragged because I'd had them for a long time. This book, it's in black and white, and it's about this milkman who essentially has superpowers of super strength, but it's largely based on extreme anger all the time.
Yeah.
And he's literally a milkman, and he runs around and he just like abuses everyone in his path. He is not a good guy, but he's probably the least unlikable character in the book. Like his boss, Crab, is a completely obnoxious jackoff that at one point it's established the only reason he never gets fired is because he's actually his illegitimate son.
Oh, yeah.
That Reed doesn't know that, but...
Yeah, see, kids, back in the 80s, we didn't care so much about characters not being likable.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the more unlikable they were, the more we liked them.
This is one of these that was like, it's just so funny and ridiculously over the top abusive. And like, the guy's like, he's running around, like someone will go like, hey, you broke on my milk bottles. And he'll like turn, stop truck, pull back and like beat the crap out of him. It's just so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. but it's not quite stream of consciousness, but almost.
Yeah, and there's a second volume of this too.
Is there?
Oh yeah. So they actually wrote a lot of, or he wrote a lot of it, and it's well worth checking out. I mean, it's done kind of, it's like comic strippy, rather than a book, but like it is a continuing story, and there's lots of weird, like he watches this soap opera, and the main character dies in it, and then they bring him back as a corpse, and he's like, oh well, I still love this show. It's just all this weird continuing stuff. And then I was going to say, this is also directly related to this guy right here, Grimjack. This is one of the things that we bonded over when we first met, because we started talking about movies and all the geeky stuff and talking about comic books. I was like, man, one of my all-time favorite books is this from this company. I don't even think they're around anymore. Called
First Comics?
No. And
but it was one of the first comics that hired. First companies that hired me.
Yeah, I was like, Grimjack, I love it so much. He's like, oh, I used to be you were the inker.
I was
right?
a color owner.
Yeah,
colorist.
And I was like, what? Get out of town! I love it so much. It's by John Ostrander, who went on to do many other big things that are better known. Like he created the Suicide Squad,
that's right,
for instance. But it follows a mercenary in a city called Cynoshore, which is like a place where all dimensions have a bit of it that crosses over to. So it's like this crunched up city of pieces of all these thousands of different worlds.
Like a nexus for all different dimensions?
So like there are different places, like there are points where he's like, okay, I can't use guns in this part of town because they don't work according to the physical laws of this universe. So I have to use like knives instead. But yeah, he's a mercenary. The story is so complicated over the length of it, because it's like it goes back and you're like, he's got these brothers and they all hate each other and they're constantly trying to kill each other. And then also he's died twice over the length of the series. And I mean, like, he goes to heaven, goes up there, goes, hey, wait a minute, someone stole my undead body and is using it to try and kill one of my old friends. Well, this will not stand. And so he just like basically manages from heaven to create a clone body for himself and comes back down. And then later, again, that body dies and then he is reincarnated into a new body. And the story picks up when he gets old enough, he's like at 20 or something, suddenly remembers everything. He's like, oh shit, I'm going to be.
That was when I came onto the series.
Right.
Issue 57.
It's so much fun and surreal and just crazy, and you never, because it's like every dimension of the world, so they can do whatever the hell they want with it. But he's also this just total badass. He's got like a big scar down his eye, like good assassins do, generally speaking.
Sure.
Or I guess you could say bad assassins.
Well, maybe you weren't so good when you started, and then later you're like, hey, I only got the one scar.
Practiced assassin. Bones.
But yeah, there's a lot of great first publishing books.
Oh
like
yeah,
Nexus
and John Sable Freelance,
Badger.
and the Badger.
Yeah, they're all a lot of fun. But this was absolutely a standout to me, and still baffled why no one has ever gone back and said we should do something with this IP. It's so strong.
and all old IPs get resurrected at some point.
Yeah.
Shovels go into the grave, and it's like, okay, you're back
Did
up.
you know we own this?
What?
It's like that beginning of the Kids of the Hall new season.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
So I didn't bring the physical copies of my books.
It's okay.
Sorry, you guys. So I'm just going to do this the whole time as I talk and be like, look at this book that is totally here.
We'll fix it in post.
In the meat space. So my first book is, I think, an absolute horror must read that I think a lot of comic book fans don't touch on because it is manga. But to me, like, it's one of the books that, like, first of all, like, made manga feel more accessible to me, but also, like, it just, it's so terrifying. It just, like, transcends all genres. And if you're a horror fan, you have to read it, in my opinion. And it is Uzumaki by Junji Ito.
I've only seen the movie.
It was Junji Ito.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay.
We're gonna get all
Yeah,
Pulp Fiction on this?
yeah. No, because I was like there was a time where I was like so into manga because it was something new, and now it's permeated everything. Where I've been so like, I don't want to see anything manga, but Junji Ito, and that's an exception right there.
Okay, so like he has one book that is not the book I am talking about called Gyo, that like reading his stuff is such a sensory experience. So much of the horror experience in Gyo relies on smell, and I shit you not, you can like smell this book. It's ridiculous. I don't even know how he does it. He's amazing. But Uzumaki is his real big book, and you know, the best known. It is about a Japanese coastal town that is cursed by spirals. They start, you know, seeing spirals in the sky, and you know, people start. There's like an artist who starts kind of really going manic and crazy over creating spiral pottery, and you don't realize how many things are like spiral shaped until you start reading this book, and how the spiral naturally occurs in nature. And he just does some incredible some incredible body horror, some incredible psychological
Don't
horror.
they have bodies that get twisted up into spirals?
Absolutely, yeah. And the way that he you know, there's something to do with the ear canal, there's and the spiral that exists in there. I mean, it's wild. I shit you not. The first time I read this book, I finished it at 4:00 in the morning, and I was in the bathtub, and I refused to drain my tub until the next morning when the sun was out, because of the little spiral that would form, that forms when you drain the water. Like, it's such a scary, visceral experience. And his art has this the same quality. And I think the best example I can give of this quality is like Frank Quitely, where like, you feel like you are looking at something that is 3-dimensional, even though it is very much 2-dimensional. Like, you can feel something about reading and like taking in the art feels like a much more like 3-dimensional experience than your brain knows it is. And I just like getting sucked into a universe like a whirlwind, like that. It's absolutely terrifying. And I would challenge anyone who doesn't think that a book could scare them to give this book a read.
Have you seen the live action film?
I have seen the live action film, and it's
not as good as the book.
It's not as good as
they
the
never
movie.
are.
Yeah, and I knew that walking into it, so I enjoyed the watch. It was fun, but nothing. I mean, even with I know that there's been talk about like an animated series with Adult Swim, and I haven't checked in on that recently to see where they're at, but I know that there's a Junji Ito anime series
not
that
based
I need
on
to
that,
check
though.
out. Not based on that. It's he's got so many short stories. He's got his adaptation of Frankenstein is absolutely amazing. Like, he's one of those authors that like every time he puts something out, I collect it. because I like having the shit scared out of me. What can I say?
As do most people.
Yeah. I also own cats, which he has an amazing. Junji Ito's Cat Diary is the funniest thing I've ever read in my life. It captures the sheer horror and absurdity that is being a cat parent.
It is sometimes horrifying and often absurd.
It's really terrifying. And then my second book is something a little more fun and lighthearted. Have either of you ever read Cursed Pirate Girl?
No, totally unfamiliar with it.
I had bought it years and years and years ago, and it just sat and lived on my bookshelf. And then right at the beginning of lockdown, I went through a lot of my books and was like, I'm going to read stuff that I've just had forever. Mm-hmm. And I opened Cursed Pirate Girl, and that was my whole evening. That it was just, I didn't expect to get sucked into it. It's so much fun. So the artwork is all in black and white. It follows a little girl who is searching for her father all across the Omerta seas. So it builds its own like really fantastical universe. But the art is really amazing, and I don't even want to think about how much time the author and artist spent drawing each page, because there's so many little details. The way that all of these like ocean creatures and monsters are personified is really great. But I love the way that it's written. It's just so like whimsical and funny. Cursed Pirate Girl herself speaks very boldly and matter-of-factly, which there's something to me as like there's something that it reaches me somewhere in this like neurodivergent inner child, where I feel the need to like where I like state things very, very bluntly and very forwardly, and it's such a good book. And the author, after over a decade, probably closer to 20 years, because I think the book came out in 2009. So like 15 years. After 15 years of like fans of the comic being like, oh, we want another story, the author just released a new book, and I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
But I am so excited. And with the amount of detail that goes into each panel, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually spent all of the last 15 years working on it.
I'm unclear on what the story is.
So this girl is sailing across the seas to find her missing father. Her father has been kidnapped. He is a sea captain, and she is off to find him. And so she just basically like lives her very best little girl pirate life in this fantastical ocean. It's absolutely beautiful.
Why is she cursed?
Oh God, it's been so long since I read it.
We got the pirate and we got the girl.
Yeah, we're missing
girl,
one part.
I don't think that. No, it's been a while since I've read it, so I don't remember where the curse comes in. I think the curse has something to do with her father.
Okay.
And his disappearance.
Fair
but
enough.
Obviously, I will be giving this a reread. If I can't remember where the curse comes from.
You're just talking about the way it's drawn makes me want to see it. It makes me think of something like Black Sad or something like that.
Oh,
yes.
Just every panel is so gorgeous.
Black Sad. That's another one that absolutely should be on this list, is Black Sad.
I almost brought that one in.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, there were several others that I could have.
So
Mysterious Polyp is a really great one if you've never read it. If you were just like in the mood for having like a really gut-wrenching and totally uplifting existential crisis, like Mysterious Polyp is your jam.
Okay.
I have gifted that book to people going through a really difficult time and like, I think this could help you, or if nothing else, it would just give you an opportunity to contemplate your existence for a little while.
But we are well over time, which means we got to wrap up.
Oh, I had more books, but that's okay.
So next time. But we will be back next week with another show, which may, I'm trying to figure out now, feature.
Don't even say it.
Special guest.
No spoilers.
Don't say it.
I'm just saying.
Don't say it.
No spoilers.
I'm not going to say who.
Don't say it.
It's John Hamm. No, just kidding. It's not John Hamm. I'm Chris from One of Us.
I'm Martin from Double Toasted.
I'm going to be pissed if John Hamm doesn't show up.
See what you did?